The easiest way to tell the difference between incenter and circumcenter is to remember the difference between in and circum in our circles. So in means inside of. So an incenter is the center of a circle inside of a shape. So if I draw a triangle, for example, and draw a circle inside of it, the incenter is the center of that circle inside of the triangle. A circumcenter, circum means around, like the circumference, it's around the edge. So a circumcenter is the center of a circle around a triangle. So if I draw myself a triangle, and then I try to draw the circle that would go around that triangle, like that, try to make sure it's nice and round, the center of the circle, that would be the circumcenter. So they're in really different positions inside of the circles, inside of the triangles. You can see the incenter kind of looks like it's in the middle of the triangle, but the circumcenter really only cares about the circle that surrounds the triangle, so it may not be in the middle of the triangle at all. In fact, if you have a triangle that's shoved into the corner of a circle like we had in our notes, like this, the circumcenter may not actually be inside of your triangle at all. It's just in the middle of the circumscribing circle. So that in of itself can really help you tell the difference between an incenter and a circumcenter. Now, if you have an equilateral triangle, it may be a little bit different. For example, if I have this circle, oops, I erased too much there. There we go. If I have a circle and I have an equilateral triangle inside of it, the circumcenter will look like it's in the middle of the circle. So it really just depends on what kind of triangle you're looking at. But usually the incenter looks much more centered. Now, if you draw, more extreme triangles to be able to tell the difference between these, so draw a triangle that doesn't fall right in the middle of a circumcenter or whatever, the easiest way to tell how to construct them would be to try to figure out what's going on in your picture. For example, the difference between an incenter and circumcenter construction is one of them bisects an angle to find the circumcenter, or to find the incenter, and the other one bisects a segment to find the circumcenter. So for the incenter, we would bisect angles, and you can kind of tell that's happening here. To point to the center here, I'm kind of cutting this angle in half. And to point to the center here, I'm cutting this angle in half. And to point to the center here, I'm cutting this angle in half. So every incenter is going to have that feature happening. For a circumcenter, you can tell pointing from the corner of the triangle to the center is not cutting this angle into equal pieces. That's definitely not happening here. Instead, to find the circumcenter, I'm actually cutting segments in half, like this segment, and I'm cutting it at a 90-degree angle. And this segment, I would find the midpoint, cut it in half, and make sure that there's a 90-degree angle there. And this segment, cut it in half, and make sure it's a 90-degree angle. So for the circumcenter to point to that dot that's not in the middle of the triangle, we would want to cut the sides in half. So one of the things I like to remember is circumcenter sides. It all starts with that S sound. Whereas the incenter, to me, I remember that it's in the center of the angles. That may be helpful for you. But I think the circumcenter sides is a little bit easier to use to remember your construction method. And then if you can do a sketch of it, you can kind of tell what's happening mathematically. So if I have an incenter, it's in that inscribed circle, that inscribed circle is surrounded by party hats. So there's all these kites, there's all these party hats. I can use this to prove that the angles in a triangle add up to 180, or whatever I want to do with my kites. I can find the central angles and party hat angles and whatever I need to do with that. There's party hats all over the place. With a circumcenter, I have a circumscribed circle. So here, all of my vertices of my triangle are on the edges. This is full of alligators. So once I have circumscribed my circle, every angle in that triangle becomes an alligator. So hopefully with this and the lesson notes on Canvas, you have a better idea of the difference between an incenter construction and a circumcenter construction.